What's up, YouTube, Facebook, and Tulsa Bass Professor's Classroom, guys? Okay, guys, I was starting a series. I told you guys about a couple weeks ago, I was wanting to start a video series where we talk about patterns, baits, lines, rods, reels, you name it. Well, this is going to be our second one, guys. I went ahead and decided, I put the question out there earlier and some of you guys commented and y'all said y'all wanted, first thing I seen, great question, was the chatterbait setup, line, trailer, all. So first of all, I'm just gonna dive into it like this. Okay, guys, when I'm throwing a chatterbait or a bladed jig, whatever you wanna call them, I'm throwing a chatterbait. For one, I'm throwing natural colors in clear water. That's just me. Natural colors in clear water, like it's your watermelons, green pumpkins, little chartreuse on them, as you can see. And I'm probably gonna throw that even in stained because this thing will work. I pulled them out of stained water with this thing. And this, by the way, guys, this is the Venom Lures rattlesnake, as you guys can see. Has a little different blade on it. But this is the Venom Lures rattlesnake. It's been catching some fish for me. And I'm gonna throw the 3/8 ounce. Okay, the fish are getting to where they're not feeding as aggressively. If it's hot weather, they're usually pinned up under the grass, tight to some type of cover with shade on it, or they're deep, or some have moved offshore, some that have spawned and kind of moved out with the bait, and they're out there on deep ledges. And I'm still, even when they go deep, guys, you still can throw the chatterbait, guys. You still can throw the chatterbait. When I say go offshore, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to fish 40 feet down to catch these fish. So you can go offshore and it'd be 8 to 10 foot. You can go offshore, it can be 14 to 20 foot. But a chatterbait is still an effective way to catch them, guys. And it's really a simpler way to catch them in the summer, especially when they're lethargic, because you can run this thing so many different ways. You can drop it, let it yo-yo, straight retrieve, and a couple snaps to it. There's just a lot of things you can do to it. But let's get to the bait itself, and let's get to the specs of this thing. For one, I'm gonna throw a 3/8 ounce. Like I said, I don't want to throw a 1/2 ounce just yet. The reason why I don't throw a 1/2 ounce yet, because in my opinion, this thing is less intimidating. And if it's just a quick little meal, that bass, he won't ignore this. But a bigger bait, he can kind of let it go over his head and go right past him. But something like this is a little more enticing, guys. And what I'm pairing up with this Venom Lures rattlesnake, I'm putting on a Strike King Menace grub. You guys have heard a lot about the grubs lately, but they make really good trailers too because of the action in the tail. But this time of year, what I'm throwing like a watermelon color or a green pumpkin color with a little chartreuse to it. Okay, I'm throwing that on this because I'm kind of real particular on how I like my baits, and it just goes really well with this chatterbait in particular. And you guys can, there's other trailers you can use, guys. There's things such as like the blade minnow. There's things you can throw out there, but I honestly just like this little grub because it's simple and it's something I know will get bit. And another thing I'm throwing this on, I'm gonna throw 15 to 17 pound test. A lot of you guys might think, well, that's heavy. It's not really, because big fish eat chatterbait. You wanna be able to pull that big fish up out of that water, up out of that cover. Because that's the first thing they're gonna do, guys. If they're on the edge of that grass and you're working that grass line, they're gonna run straight off in there. You don't know what's in that grass, whether it's rock, it's a boulder, it could be stumps. It could be anything in that grass that they're running into. So you wanna make sure you got something to pull it out. But I'm also not gonna throw it on mono. I'm gonna throw it on fluoro, guys. And good fluoro that you can find, Seagar if you can find it. There's a new line called K9, it's pretty good. I'm just starting to get into that, newer company, and I really like it. That's what I'm throwing on my reels. And also the Berkeley ×9 fluoro mix is pretty decent. But those lines right there, guys, you wanna stay with something that's really tough and it doesn't get in the way of the lure. So if you don't go too heavy either, if I'm gonna throw, I'm not gonna throw this on 20 pound test. I'm not saying you can't, but I don't wanna mess up the action of this lure. So I'd say 15, I'd say anywhere from 12, 15 to 17 should be heavy enough to, it should be suffice to work this lure. And another thing that I'm doing is I know a lot of you guys like to make longer casts, and I mean, that all goes into the reel for me. I'm throwing my Venom Lures rattlesnake on a 610, guys. This is a medium heavy. And this is Denali Lithium. It's a spinnerbait rod, but you can also throw chatterbaits on it too. It's got a good backbone to it down here, just enough tip, you know, to work that chatterbait in too. And you can feel the vibration all the way through the handle. And I'm also pairing that up as of right now. I got the Platinum Series, the Johnny Morris Platinum Series, 6-to-8 1 gear ratio reel. I want to throw it on something a little slower. I know you guys want to throw fast reels. You want to throw your 8-to-1s, 8-to-5s, stuff like that. But I don't want to work this bait too fast in the summer. I'm going to go to a slower reel, not down to no 5 or nothing like that, but I'm going to take it down to like a 6-6 or like I have a 6-8. Pushing it would be a 6-3, would be pushing, because that's just a little bit slower than I like it, but it definitely keeps the bait in the strike zone, and that's what you guys need to do this summer, guys, because it's hot out here, and these fish are real lethargic. I mean, I was flipping and pitching just yesterday in a duel and couldn't get any bites, but when I'm throwing moving baits like this, boom, out of the grass, they were just smacking it, just that reaction. So just to answer you guys' question, I'm gonna definitely make sure I go over this again, guys. I got a 610 medium heavy that I'm throwing mine on, and I'm definitely throwing 17-pound test. And like I said, a 6-8 to 1 gear ratio reel. Keep my drag set good, and a good line on there, guys. And that's about all I have on that, because I mean, chatterbait's a real simple bait to use. It just takes practice, and it's just a phenomenal bait. And it's one of my favorites, guys. It's crazy how this bait right here can be fished so many ways, and it just sounds like it would be a crime to commit to one way of using it. So that's all I got, guys. And if you have any more questions, guys, feel free to comment on this video or comment on the post that I made, and let me know what you want me to go over, and we'll go in detail over anything else. This is TBP, and I'm out, guys.